No. Gosh dang it. Oh, good morning. Gotta be quiet. The kids are still asleep. But unfortunately, I just realized my cup of coffee, we're out of vanilla syrup. The teenagers hit me again. So, guess we know what we're doing for education today because my cup of coffee is gonna be sad. Let's dive into the world of my favorite thing in the world, vanilla. Because nothing is better than a hot cup of coffee with a homemade vanilla syrup. So let's talk about that today. Let's talk about our wild world of grabbing our vanilla extract, our vanilla paste, or let's get the real deal and talk about vanilla beans and where exactly they come from. And since we're making vanilla syrup, I kind of feel like cake for breakfast. So let's make one of those too. Now here we have our three types of vanilla that we'll be using. The first one's going to be vanilla extract, which is made by using real vanilla beans and alcohol. The other kind you find at the grocery store is going to be called imitation, and that's synthetically created in a lab. So you really don't want to use it unless you are on a budget. The second is going to be our actual vanilla beans. These come from the vanilla orchid and are actually grown in Madagascar, Indonesia, or Tahiti. They are hand pollinated and require about 3 to 4 months before you can actually even use them. Then we have our vanilla paste, and that is a thick syrupy substance made from concentrated vanilla extract, crushed vanilla beans, sugar, and some thickeners. Here is a good example of our actual vanilla paste. This stuff is made with a combination of different things such as gums and sugars and stuff like that, so I avoid using it unless I just want that vanilla bean flakes. To prepare our vanilla beans, all you're going to do is cut them in half right like that. Then we're going to split them long ways down the center. We're going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. There we go. We're going to split it. On the inside, you're going to see these little tiny beans. Those are going to be the actual vanilla bean. The part we're splitting is called a pod. And most of the time, it's referred to as caviar because it actually does look a lot like what you see from fish caviar. Now, because vanilla orchids are so hard to grow and they are hand pollinated, this is actually the second most expensive spice in the world. So it is a very pricey thing to be able to use, which is why we're going to want to utilize this bean as much as we possibly can. Once we scrape out the insides, we can take those discarded pods and we're going to add then some just white regular old sugar, and we're going to give them a good blitz in our food processor, which is then going to turn us into vanilla sugar. To make our vanilla syrup, all we're going to do is take sugar and water and bring it to a simmer. We're then going to add in those scraped coffee beans along with the pod. We are going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes. After it's simmered for about 5 minutes, we are then going to remove it from the heat and add in about a tablespoon of vanilla extract. This recipe, we are going to utilize both so we get the most concentrated flavor, and that's it for our syrup. While our coffee syrup is cooling, we can now make our Irish buttercream. Now we are going to make a Guinness cake that is chocolate, and for the icing is going to be an Irish buttercream. So we are going to take our buttercream base and we're going to add in our scraped vanilla beans. I'm also going to add in a tablespoon of that vanilla extract so that way we get the flavor. To ice our cake, we are going to put a small dollop of that icing onto our cake board, put on our Guinness chocolate cake. Then I enjoy using a piping bag to put my initial layer of icing on. It's just so that way I can make sure I have it controlled about. You can see here I put the piping tip in the center and I just slowly spin my board to increase the amount of icing until I'm happy with the full coverage. Now remind you, when you put on your second layer, it's going to push that icing out, which is why I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch border so that way it fills all the way to the edge without it overflowing. Now, because we are in the time of St. Patrick's Day being soon, that's why I'm choosing to make a Irish Guinness cake. It is just one of my personal favorites, and I really like the way that the stout beer offsets the flavor of the Irish buttercream. You kind of get those malty notes from the stout along with the sweet buttercream. It's just personally my favorite. So we've put our second layer on, we have finished icing the cake, and I'm just going to sit here and finish it a little bit with that sugar that we had earlier that we made with the vanilla bean pods, and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of cocoa powder and just dust the top, because why not? It's breakfast, we can splurge a little. And now with all that said and done, it's finally time for us to get our breakfast. Mind you, cake not be for everybody for breakfast, but for this girl some days, Irish Guinness cake with Irish buttercream icing a good cup of hot coffee with homemade vanilla syrup. And to top it all off, we have that homemade vanilla sugar that we made earlier with the discarded coffee beans. It just doesn't get any better than this. Some days you just gotta eat cake for breakfast because let's face it, sometimes this is what makes your kids be able to survive another day. Hope you guys have a great one. And on that note, my kids are finally awake. They may be noon, but that's teenagers for